Hi, welcome to BS Garage. On this one, I picked up another LS out of a van. It was pretty trashed. We find out if it's actually junk or a good deal or not. Spoiler alert, it's pretty awesome. Let's go. So I think I'm gonna get started on the 51. I wanna get it prepped so that I can throw it in my barn and over winter tackle the majority of the metal work, suspension work, stuff like that. I know a lot of you are gonna be like, what about the Malibu? The Malibu's fine, don't worry, it's not your car, it's not going anywhere. She'll get finished eventually. But I don't know, I'm on a 50s kick and I think that this could make a really cool cruiser. So I just wanna put it together, make it a nice, reliable, fun cruiser that anybody can get into because I think I'm gonna sell it when this one's done. Yeah, she's a bit rough, but like I said, I'm not scared to tackle it. I have plenty of plans for this thing in order to make it look pretty sick, and I got a lot of parts already. And I just went and picked up this guy here. It's an LY6, so 2007 to 2010, 6-liter. Came out of a work van. Don't know how many miles are on it. Don't know the exact condition. Don't know if it runs. Don't know anything. But I do know that it has oil in it and it has coolant in it and they're not mixed. So that's a good start. I've got some pretty sweet plans for this engine. The way I want it to look underneath in that engine bay. Because I want this to be a themed car. And I'm not really going to say like what the theme is yet on it. Because I'm not totally decided. But I do know that I just want it to be just mean looking. I just want it to be a mean looking car and a mean looking engine bay. But yeah, I have, like I said, the majority of the parts for this thing. I've got a rear end. It's just a 10 bolt, but it'll be fine because this is just gonna be an NA engine, no turbo, no supercharger, nothing crazy. I do have a 700 R4 that I'm debating on whether or not to throw on the back of this thing or might pick up another 4L80. Undecided. We're just kind of going over things in my head. But I think it's gonna be a fun project, and I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride. But for now, I gotta get that torque converter off there so I can get this thing on an engine stand, and then we're gonna strip this thing down and clean it up, get it down to the bare bones because we're not gonna use any of that wiring, any of that front accessory drive or anything like that. We're gonna do all Holley, all ICD billet, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I'm excited. I am super excited for this. This is gonna be fun. Got the torque converter, flex plate off. Now it's time to clean this thing up. I'm just gonna start with just taking everything off that I know I'm not gonna use. I know I have a couple of bolts that are stuck in the cylinder head that I'm gonna have to weld some nuts onto to get out. I just wanna strip this thing down, save what I need to save, throw away what I don't, and go from there. One thing, like I got this engine for stupid cheap because the guy dropped it, or like it fell on its side and it broke the valve cover there and it broke 2 coil packs. But I mean, I plan on replacing all this stuff anyway, but you pull the cover off. I mean, nothing's damaged or anything like that. I mean, there's no like hits on the cylinder heads or anything like that. So I'm not worried about it. But yeah, let's get to tearing this sucker down. And underneath all of that, there's an LS. Well, LY6, but she looks good. I have one bolt that I gotta weld and take out. I'll do that when I pull the heads and stuff off. But I don't know why I didn't know these were cathedral or rec port heads. That's freaking sweet. So that kind of changes my thinking on what I'm gonna do for an intake manifold, because I had this really cool idea of what I wanted to do. I don't really want to say what it is yet, but I think it's going to look so good. Yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, continue cleaning this up, scrape all this off, vacuum all this out, And then we're gonna like degrease this thing, pressure wash it, and then continue stripping it down. You guys like my little poncho that I made? We'll start selling these things. Look at it. It's getting better. It's getting cleaner. I mean, I'm not so worried about the oil pan because I'm not going to use the oil pan, front timing cover, stuff like that. I just want to get like the block and the heads cleaned up. Got the majority of the junk sprayed off. I'm going to soak it down with degreaser now and then spray it again after that stuff soaks in a little bit. And we'll go from there. Got it all cleaned up for the most part. I just continually soaked it down with degreaser and then kept hitting it with a pressure washer. I'm gonna go through and just start tear down now. So I'm gonna take the heads off and that will tell us exactly how much trouble we're in with this engine. Hopefully it doesn't need a whole lot. I mean, I'm already expecting that I'm gonna have to do new rings, new bearings and stuff like that. But just hoping that it's not like hurt in any way, shape, or form. It turns over just fine and it sounds like it has compression on all cylinders. So that's a good thing, but the complete teardown will tell us more. Looking real good so far. Got the heads off. You can still see the crosshatch in the cylinder walls. Not a ton of like carbon buildup on the pistons. Feeling good about this. Heads just look like they got some miles on them, but nothing, not like a ton of miles though, I don't think. That's the way I just feel. No ridge whatsoever on the thing, so maybe I won't need to get piston rings or anything like that. Maybe we just pull these things apart, clean them up, put them back in. I'm curious now about the bearings. Next up, I'm taking off the harmonic balancer, the main pulley here. You need one of these harmonic balancer tools right here. You can kind of see how I have it set up. So there's some notches in the back that it grabs onto. Then I've got a pry bar with a couple of nuts or a couple of bolts for the flex plate, and then that's kind of holding it there in order to do it. And we're just gonna slowly pull her off. It's actually coming. This is actually the easiest one I've ever done. Skipping ahead on you guys, completely disassembled the short block and everything honestly looks amazing. All of the main bearings look great. Rod bearings look great. So I'm going to reuse these. No reason why not to. Cam bearings though, going to replace because I already have a set. May as well do it. Plus they don't look that great and they have a bunch of garbage and stuff on them. Looks like a little bit more worn. So cam bearings are always a must when you're doing a cam swap. Other than that, everything just is dirty and dingy. Not a big deal. Gonna go ahead, I'm gonna completely disassemble all the rings off the pistons, all the rods and stuff off, because you can do that with the Gen 4s fairly easily with the little pin clip thing that you just gotta remove. Pull it out, put it all in a 5-gallon bucket of degreaser. Gotta clean up this guy here too. Just oil stain, not a big deal. But all the journals and everything look so good. And I did go ahead and start on the heads. So I got one cleaned up, this guy here, obviously. And it just looks so good. So that's gonna be nice to throw on there. I still have this guy to do, but I think I'm gonna do this one while all this stuff is soaking. Just because, you know, I'm trying to do it in a timely manner. But yeah, awesome. Maybe I'll go through and how I clean this sucker up. I'm not putting any, like I said, I'm not putting any boost to this engine. I'm trying to do this as budget friendly as possible. So, I mean, cleaning this up using some tack spray. I'm still going to use some LS9 MLS head gaskets on this thing. It'll seal up just fine. I mean, on this one, no machine work needs to happen. I don't believe it'll be, I mean, it's an LS. They're Legos. They're fine. But I'm really liking the way that this thing came. I mean, this is This was one heck of a deal on a 6.0, to be honest with you, with the condition that this thing is in, especially for a Gen 4. Awesome. Yeah, let me disassemble all these guys, throw them in, and then we'll go over how to clean that guy up. Bit of an update for you guys. I'm kind of skipping ahead. I'm not really showing my process, but I'll kind of try to explain it. So all the pistons and rods I disassembled, and then I just had them soaking in a bucket of heavy-duty degreaser, like half and half, overnight, and it got it pretty clean, but these were pretty nasty still. They had a bunch of garbage like stuck in the ringlands. So honestly, the past 6 hours, I've been just going through and cleaning these pistons up to get them to look like this. I mean, yeah, the skirts have a little bit of wear on them, but there's nothing you can grab with your finger, so these are going to be great. The rods look amazing. Even the oil rings here, the scrapers, they had a bunch of junk in them. I mean, some of these were actually packed solid, full of stuff. So I know I said I was going to keep these organized on what hole went in what, but honestly, because there was no issues, it's not going to matter. I'm going to like measure out my rings, top and bottom, to make sure that they're okay when I assemble it. But like honestly, an LS is an LS, a hole is a hole. So we're good to go there. I got the crank all cleaned up, and I got the journals all polished up. Got everything organized in order for reassembly. And I also went ahead and cleaned up the block. So the block is completely cleaned. I mean, I wire wheeled it. All the iron or the rust and stuff is just off, obviously, and then smoothed it out and painted it duplicolor semi-gloss black engine enamel. And then all these surfaces here, I took 1000 grit sandpaper, WD-40, and a piece of flat stock, and I just kept working it and working it and working it in order to get it nice and smooth. I mean, you're not going to hurt it. If you think you're going to hurt it, you're not. You're just trying to take away all the like the blackness and the unevenness. You can still see the machine work in it from like when it was original. So this is going to work just fine for, you know, MLS head gaskets with a little bit of gasket spray. I'm not planning on putting any boost to this thing. Even if you were, it's fine. Like, but this is just at-home machining at its finest. But this thing looks really good now and should be good to go for reassembly besides dingle ball holing it, which I'm going to do right now. So it's a fairly simple process. Dingle ball hone, WD-40. Just make sure you don't stop on it. And you just work it a couple of times and then major cleaning after that. So I'm going to tackle that right now. Last part we really got to clean up is this head. As you can see, we have one broken exhaust manifold bolt there. I already got it wire wheeled out to clean it up. So I'm going to go ahead, weld a washer onto that and then a nut onto the washer. And that should be able to easily turn that thing out. So I'm going to get to that and then proceed with making this thing look a little bit better than how she looks right now. Got the bolt out. Actually took 2 tries and I ended up grabbing a bigger nut. Basically made a mound, welded a mound on there, and then put the nut over top of that, welded it real hot, and she came right out. So good to go there. Time to clean it up. First step, I'm cleaning out as much of the carbon buildup as I can inside of the runners, exhaust, and intake. So these are the intake ports. I'm using some Simple Green mixed 50-50 in the spray bottle, putting it in there, and a wire brush with a variety of wire wheels in order to just kind of like clean out as much as I can. It's not going to be 100%, but just getting as much out of there as I can. And on the hard to reach places, I'm letting it sit down like this, and I kind of fill it up with some brake and parts cleaner, and that helps kind of eat it away. I mean, when this whole process is done, I'm going to go ahead and wash it with some warm soapy water to get it all cleaned up, but I got to get rid of all this corrosion stuff here. And look at this. This looks amazing. So I first started with the combustion chambers here, cleaned it up same way, wire wheel. I didn't press hard in there. I just let it do its work because this is aluminum. It will dig in. So just make sure you do that with, again, brake clean and some Simple Green. It takes a long time. I'm not going to lie, like forever. And in order to kind of resurface this, in order to get it smooth and get all your garbage off there from years and years of use, I took my DA and I cut out on a Scotch-Brite pad, basically a pad in order to fit to it, and use WD-40, and I just make sure it's lubricated the whole time. And you just kind of like let it do its thing. Don't press on it, just let it do its thing, work it back and forth, wipe it off, work it back and forth. Takes a long time. Takes a long time. And you're still not going to get it perfect, but you know, this is at home machining, and this is going to be good enough for some copper spray and the MLS head gaskets that I'm going to use, it'll seal up just fine. Trust me, you're not going to have an issue unless you actually have an issue. Then go to a machine shop, get it fixed. But this is nice and smooth, no issues where anything meets up with water jackets and combustion chambers. So I'm very pleased with that, but I do have to do the rest of it. I'm going to go ahead and hit this with, I think, 320, 600, 800, 1500 on the DA with WD-40 in order to get all this corrosion off there, because that's the only really way you can do it when it's this bad, because this is all like divoted in. That's not good. But we can get it clean because that one is actually looking really good. Got to do the same thing with these surfaces here, with these mounting surfaces. Just make sure they're flat and even. You don't dig into them. They'll be good to go. So yeah, I'm going to continue on with this and I'll show you the end result. Went ahead, I took all the valves out, all the valve seats and seals and springs and all the good stuff that was inside there, because everything just needed to be cleaned up really, really well. Like here's an example of an exhaust valve here, and you can see this chunky buildup here. Get rid of all that. Like, that's just garbage. As you can see, I just got it kind of chucked up in my drill. I'm holding it down. I'm soaking a piece of 600 grit paper in WD-40, and I'm just going to town on it. I'm letting the paper do the work. I'm not putting a ton of pressure on it. It takes a little bit of time, but you don't want to risk bending this, obviously. And this is kind of what you're left with. So it's all the way down to the steel that it needs to be. It looks really good, smooth. And then I go ahead and I finish it up with some Scotch-Brite WD-40 on the drill, and it just makes it look and clean up so much better. And then we're going to go ahead and reseat these with some valve lapping compound later. But obviously you just got to get them all cleaned up first, and all that composites and carbon buildup and all that junk just needs to go away. So you got one head, that's the driver's side head, completely cleaned up as far as I'm going to take it. And this is the passenger side head. So I'm working on this right now, and I just want to show you like how just nasty it is in there. Like, this is after a couple of scrubbings already, and I'm just scraping out all of the gunk that is inside there. So it is just gross. Just using a screwdriver, flat bladed screwdriver here. I'm just going to town on it, scraping it out as much as I can, and then rinsing it down with some brake and parts cleaner, and then some degreaser, and then power washing it, and then rinse and repeat. Just keep doing that till it's all good. And then I have my Dremel here with, you can pick these up. These, what used to be like a Scotch-Brite end, or like a, let me show you. So these guys here. Soak these in cleaner, low speed, and just kind of work it back and forth. It can get down in there pretty good in order to clean up the edges really nice. I'll show you this. So this one is as far as I'm going to take it. It still has some oil staining and stuff in it, but it's a lot better than it was, for sure, because it was just so caked inside there. I just don't want any of that garbage, falling off, going in the combustion chamber and wrecking anything. The rest of the head's pretty cleaned up as far as I'm going to take it. Like I said before, I need to relap those valves, and we'll do that, I think, on the next one. For this one, I just want to get everything cleaned up, so I'm going to continue with this head, and I'll show you. There we go. So that's as much time as I'm going to put into these things. You definitely could get a little bit better on like some of the oil staining and stuff on the aluminum, but for how many miles around this thing, which is still questionable, but I'm guessing higher, these things turned out really awesome. Mating surface and everything look great now again. Head gasket surface looks awesome. I mean, obviously we're going to have to relap the valves and everything, but we're not going to do that in this one. But we will assemble it here later. But for now, like, all the parts and pieces are cleaned up and ready to go for the assembly. All in all, super pleased with the way that this came out. Obviously, a ton of work into cleanup, organization, but it's a healthy engine. It is a super healthy engine. It's going to make a great engine for that 51 Deluxe, and I'm super excited to get this thing assembled, which might be the next one, or we'll get back to work on the 50 because that thing needs some attention too. If you guys made it this far in the video, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Got a lot more coming up because, I mean, project after project after project. Thanks for watching, guys.